letting dew on the tips of needles guide us through old-growth hemlock. These sparkling constellations made brighter by sun rays sieved through canopy branches. And we drink these stars on the end of cedar boughs and are reminded that the earth still breathes. A gurgling stream, yet invisible, calls me into silent rejoicing. And we celebrate the beauty of decay and rebirth. We continue to rise and feel ageless force absolve us. And in Eleanor we leave ourselves, our clothes, the flesh of our bodies, our teeth, our bones, all to water our souls. And we look back over our shoulders and catch glimpses of fog moving over the mountain's waist, her dress billowing in the wind. Probably nothing. It's not that air doesn't move the right way to pass my tongue. More like there's no air in my chest to begin. If I'm standing right in front of you, tilt your head and listen. Because wind through branches of leaves can say what I'm feeling better than I can. I'm sorry I can't howl your name to the heavens or stand up in public spaces and shout about love at the top of my lungs. But I can write it down. My pen works like waves, carve stone to sand, beat shorelines in time with the cup of my own heart. And like water, my words flow downward. If my brain's the headwaters and the paper's the ocean, then go ahead and read ripples of words written wrong retroactively, but right-handed in actuality. My love letter received, now reeling. From recognizing rivers of romance and my feelings for revival unrequited by your reinforced resistance. Stop. 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 I'm really good with faces. I can still see your face when I try to introduce myself by scribbling my name on a note in the library. It's so hard to get to know people without speaking. If something happens, please find and burn my pages before people go through my notebooks and realize that I sketched the faces of people I miss. I get a lot more nosebleeds than I probably should. And I really like writing you letters, but I've had to rewrite a lot of them because it's bad form to leave bloodstains on mail. Instead, let me stain your pages by dipping pen into memories and laying them out between lines on notebook paper. My chest beats mostly true things. I don't always have the answers, but I'll still love your questions. When can I read this? When I'm gone. You know it would be nice to hear this from your own lips, right? I know. Can't you say these things out loud? I can't. And how does that make you feel? Sorry. Tell me something now. And that's not a question, and there's no pen in my hand. So I stay quiet, and I wait for the wind to say it for me.
because I really didn't want to be like, I mean, I'm a woman setting a piece, so I didn't want to like be like, this is what you should be, because I'm not a man, so it, you know, that was hard for me. I was like, I don't want to like make it look like a woman created a piece about a man and made it from her own, you know, viewpoint. So I think we talked a lot, and I did, you know, I asked them a lot of questions and stuff because I wanted it to be like from them. I didn't want to put it on them.
A lot of prompts.
A lot of prompts.
Very
yeah.
funny ones too.
Yeah, I think Charlie and I as individuals had.
Oh yeah, we goofed around a lot. It was
It was pretty comedic there for a while, and then took a dark turn, and then it got.
It was almost going to be comedic again because Charlie ripped his pants in rehearsal. And so I was like,
I ripped
maybe
them a
we'll just wear
little tonight.
boxers,
Yeah.
like the suit, you know, work out. But we didn't do that.
It's
very bad.
amazing little like pieces of cloth, like little diaper thongs.
To keep the shirts in.
Yeah,
That's our secret, buddy.
so I'd show you, but
Emily,
Yeah.
how does it feel to do that solo over and over and over again?
I like doing it. I don't know. I don't know, that movement feels
it
really
evolve for
natural
you
in my
each
body,
time?
I think.
Sorry.
Just because the way that Ellie shaped it was a lot of my own movement. And it's kind of taxing on my body, like getting that chaotic, like crazy, but I don't know, it always feels really satisfying.
I do, yeah. So you had the elements, and so you had air, and I was thinking wings was air. And then, what was fire though?
So originally, like the elements kind of inspired it, but I didn't actually end up using, like they kind of helped me process what while I was choreographing. And so like the silk piece was definitely water, the wing one was air, Terra one was earth. We didn't necessarily have a fire, but I wanted to, I think, I was trying to like embody these elements and like use them in my process, so I don't feel like one piece had fire, but like for example, like Hive had this like chaotic, like, you know, so I feel like that kind of took hold of fire in a sense. And then Shay worked with me and developed those looks, the lighting for water and fire, and so he used the red for fire in the back of the male duet, kind of as this like, what's underneath, like, I don't know. So we worked them in, but not all of them were necessarily showcased as like the piece itself.
Yeah, I think that both of those that you mentioned, had a lot of fire, so I just didn't know
Cool.
if you intended to make them that way.
Yeah, it kind of came along in the process, so I'm glad that showed.
For the spoken part, did Doc have them and then you chose them, or did you have him write it for the piece?
Yeah, he's not out here right now. Is he in the audience? No.
Yeah.
He's actually very, very shy.
He's doing
So
his
he didn't wanna
defense
do the
tomorrow for his master's degree, so he had to go home.
So he writes a lot of poetry. It says in there, but he recently got published in a literary magazine here. And I knew that I wanted to have him be part of my process because a lot of the poetry he writes, I read and then it like influences my process. So he sent me a bunch of different poems that he felt like were his strongest. And the first one he sent me was actually a butterfly poem about monarch butterflies. And that's kind of where the Chrysalis came from. Because I was like, oh, butterflies, transformation. And I feel like this whole show has been a transformation, and like my 4 years here have been a transformation. So I didn't actually end up using the butterfly one, but he like reworked some and then sent me his strongest ones and prepared them. So yeah, and then yeah, so they were already done, and then I just chose from the ones I liked. Yeah.
What brought you to the decision to use such tactile things in your performance?
That's a good question. I don't know, I think I just wanted to play. Like, what else can I play with? And, I mean, I know some of the stuff, like the powder was definitely influenced by Bill, because when we used the sand, he got amazing pictures and was like, well, what else can we use? What else can we throw around? And so we were like, well, we could do powder, and that would leave, you know, puffs of in the air. And so then we did photography with powder. And then like this was kind of a last minute decision. Jamie and I wanted to do an improv, and then I think it was like the week of the show, we were like, well, why don't we just use powder in it? So then, oh, cool, another thing. So yeah, I think originally I just wanted to experiment with something different. Just like a prop of some sort. And I think it came from when I wanted to do Earth. I knew I wanted to do Earth, and I knew I wanted to do something on Emily. And so I was just playing with the ideas of Earth and what Earth means to me. And when I was originally, like before I even thought of using elements, I traveled to Israel a couple years ago, and I stayed in the Bedouin deserts for a while, and the sand and just like the sweeping of the sand and the wind was just like nothing I'd experienced before. It was so peaceful, but also so chaotic and noisy, and so I was always inspired by that, and so I knew I wanted to do something with that and like Earth. And so then I was just like, well, that's sand. Why don't I just use sand? So it's kind of obvious, but so that was a very long answer. It spiraled in my mind, but that's why.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, first off on that note, it's really nice to be so close to everything, like the elements and things that you might see every day, but just see it in a different way, and also to be close to you. Love the dances. But I was curious, did you choreograph your solo hive to the music? Or did
No.
you
No, I played around with some different music. Originally I wanted to do something really like light and pretty. And then I was like, and I worked on it for weeks, and I was just like, I'm not like, doesn't do anything for me. Like I just didn't feel great about it. And so I went in the total opposite direction. And, yeah, I don't know. I think for all of these dances, all of them, I found the music after. So music is the hardest thing for me. So I feel like I just try and find music. Like it's almost like halfway through the process that I find the music. And that's what happened to the solo. I do movement, and then I'm like, well, what music do I feel inspired by to do what I've already created each time, you know? Because sometimes I'll listen to something and be like, well, that was cool, but like, I don't really want to do that again. So yeah, I was like halfway through, and I kept searching and searching, and then there were certain things, when I picked the song, there are definitely certain cues in the music, so then I kind of can rework the rest of the piece off of those cues, which is helpful. So that's what I did.
After I have performed in a couple of my friends' senior projects, I'm curious for all of you, what is like one thing that you learned or experienced or will take away from this amazing opportunity that you can think of like right now, because I'm sure as it stews you'll think of more things, but I'm curious.
Well, you guys can join me. I really liked working with Ellie, and just like seeing, like especially as a soloist, it was really interesting to see like the way that she shaped a dance on one person. Because I've made solo work on myself, but I've never made solo work on another person. So I feel like it's just interesting to see the different prompts that she gave me, and Like a lot of the things I felt like, because I know she worked with Claire as a soloist the following year, and then she'd be like, oh, Claire did this with me, and I'm gonna try it with you, and so I felt like it was like a legacy.
I feel like I learned a lot of things pretty. I feel like one of them was just that it's a lot harder than like I would have like. I mean, I knew it was going to be tough, but it's just like I don't think I realized how important it is to start early. Like there were some things where I was like, why didn't I do this weeks ago? Like I didn't even think about this, or like things I was forgetting. And so in that sense, I think asking for help, like don't be afraid to ask for help, because I only asked Jessie to be my stage manager, like kind of like the last week or two, and it's been so helpful. I was like, why didn't I ask you weeks ago? Like this, you could have helped me so much more. Like so, I think, yeah, just not being afraid to ask for help and getting things started earlier, because it's easier when you have, you know, time to have people respond to you and to respond back to them and to think about things rather than feeling like you're in the midst of it and you have to make decisions really fast.
I feel like this was a unique experience because in other shows here, you rely on yourself, like that's your instrument, and then the other dancers are ensemble. But in this, it was a great opportunity to kind of have these props that it's a total necessity. You couldn't. There's lots of powder everywhere. It's all right. But becoming really connected with something that kind of ended up being like the bloodstream and the heartbeat, keeping everything flowing, like with that wonderful piece of silk that Rita made and Ellie's costume. It was hard to build movement around it when you didn't have it, and then when you got it, just became a part of you, and it's gonna be hard to let that go. But other exciting moments, we're seeing like these other dancers kind of break out of their routine, movement qualities, and also to get to work with Shay over there and being so intimately connected with, okay, well, how can we add to this? How can we make it more relevant? And he really helped with that, and I thought that was really cool. It was just a very, like, I feel like we became the elements. Like, we couldn't do without you guys.
I learned a lot from this experience, just because, I learned these people. I'm like, nice to meet you. But I've learned that good things take a lot of time. I mean, it's like cooking, you know what I mean? It's honestly like, Ellie came into us and she's like, okay, here's some basic movements that we're going to do for our man's piece, and we did that. And a week or so went by, and she started changing things until eventually, like, we dropped it all together. And I was like, oh! And then but from that, came this bare minimalist thing that we kept, and that was a little layer, and she created another layer, and she built that up and dropped that down to nothing until we got, this beautiful layer of colors and things that we've created. And even just like with the lighting, with the set work, with the different tangible items, it's just taking time to put down those layers and really build like this inner working structure, not just throwing it together, really taking time to like let it simmer and the flavors come out. I'm going to be a writing major in the fall. So, dancing while cooking. I can like cook salad.
What inspired you guys to put periods of silence in these movies? And do you like dancing better with silence or with music?
Silence is scary.
It is scary.
It's like, oh, I like it. It's
I
deafening.
think that's one thing. It's kind of like a vulnerable thing to have. The music's playing and like people can't really hear you breathing, and your footwork seems less noisy. It seems softer. So when the music dies down and it's silent, like, they can hear everything you're doing. But I think that's a quality that it makes you feel vulnerable, which was a lot of a lot of what I wanted out of the pieces is to kind of showcase like not just like we're performing, watch us, you know, we're on stage, but like this kind of inner working of like, what if you're just watching us in our room doing this? Or like, what if we're in the Bedouin desert dancing in sand and you're watching us? So it, just to make it feel more natural, I think was part of it. Where we left it, I used that with Allison and Claire for the first time because in rehearsals they would be breathing so much, and when they would lift each other and throw each other, you could hear it, and it was just like amazing to hear that, to hear them working, rather than feel like you can see like they're working, but it looks like they're trying to make it easy. It's like, no, this is hard, and we're working for it. It's kind of satisfying, for me at least, to see that. And I loved hearing it so much in rehearsal that I was like, well, I want other people to have this too. So that's kind of weird.
Wouldn't that ever become a thing where it's like, let's make it look easy? I mean, that's like important, but like, wouldn't that ever become a thing to like take out that natural part of it? I never got that. Like it's,
It doesn't have to.
like you need to breathe. Like, trust me on that one.